Oh,
Your kitty cat says someone is trying to call you.
it's, of course, you know, it's Basil, and I've been giving Basil a shout out at the beginning of each show because he's been giving me a shout out at the beginning of his show. So we're working together on this at least. Yeah, hey, yeah, you called right on time this week. I mean, usually you're like 20 seconds late, but he says, he's telling me he had a conversation with Marty Heiser's cat.
That explains that.
Now, keep in mind, though, Marty Heiser's cat's name is White Jesus.
Nice.
So he's also telling me that he found out, Basil figured out why. What? What did you figure out? He figured out how and why Marty Heiser fell in love with Donald Trump so quickly.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, okay, go on. I'm listening. It says that White Jesus told him that when Marty Heiser found out that, you know, Trump's father's name is Frederick Trump.
Ah, okay.
And his grandfather, who came here, he was the first generation of the Trumps that actually came to America. He was the original Trump, or Drumpf, which means Trump in German, came to America.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, right. He says he's not kidding. It's true.
Oh, no.
Donald Trump's grandfather his name is not Frederick Trump, like Donald's father is, but his grandfather's name is Frederick Christ Trump. You folks at home, you can check this out. Basil's not lying. He says Donald Trump's grandfather's name is Frederick Christ Trump.
Oh, boy.
Now I understand. Yeah, okay. Well, thank White Jesus for this, because now that explains why Trump, where our good and dear friend Marty Heiser fell in love with Trump so quickly, because Trump is the grandson of Christ.
Oh, well, that explains everything.
Okay.
But
I hope you got your 10 seconds of fame on this one. But and he's going to do these shows about Frederick Christ Trump this coming Friday and Sunday on his shows.
Well, I
so
will.
keep an eye out for Basil Buddha-Cat Presents!
Nice.
Exclamation point. This Friday and Sunday, Friday 9:30, Sunday at Friday at 10 p.m. and Sunday our religious show is at 11 a.m. Okay.
I'll have to PVR that.
Okay. So thanks for joining us, the Progressive Soup. I'm David Stevenson. Our good friend Al Robinson, who's understands and knows everything political, is come on to talk about something that is certainly near and dear, not just to my heart, but certainly to his heart too, and that's Black Lives Matter. And we're going to talk a little bit about a special event that's going on this afternoon that we're all missing at this point, because this afternoon is actually Monday, since this is Wednesday and Thursday. But Al, which one do you want to talk about first? The event today, May Day event, or Black Lives Matter?
Well, we could start with May Day. In fact, first of all, thanks for having me back on the show. I think this is like my 10th time, maybe?
Something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, love the show.
It's like 9 years almost.
Love the show, love Comcast, love everything about the place. And it's amazing that, you know, I wish and I hope more people realize and utilize this facility, because this is, you know, Comcast Studios, this is all free. You know, your cable bill pays for the utilization of this place, and you can come down here and learn how to do a TV show. You know, I first came down here in the early 2000s and worked with Matt Paulson, Paulson on Politics, the little Bethel Crazy show. And then I worked with Ivan Alsamy and Marty Heiser with Ideas and Work and Beyond, which later turned into the Marty Heiser Show, in which I produced for a number of years. And I also had my own show here for a little while, Hat City Blog TV. And I tell you, it's great to learn how to do a TV show. So it's again, I'm not trying to give a big promotion to these guys, but this is one of the jewels that you can come down here and do your own TV show.
It really is, and if form holds true, just as Basil Buddha-Cat Presents! Exclamation point, is on the air now, one day, watch out, because there'll be, like the Marty Heiser Show, there will be the White Jesus Show.
White Jesus.
Or maybe White Jesus Presents.
Too much. Or yeah, you never know. Hat City Blog TV might come back. It could come back. I might resurrect it. But we want to talk about May Day.
Yes.
My first May Day that I attended here in Danbury was back in, I want to make sure I get this correct. I want to make sure, I think it was 2006. Yes, because 2005 was the first march for the rights of immigrants here in Danbury. Thousands upon thousands of people went up and down Main Street. I was there and I recorded everything. So anybody would say, it wasn't that big. I got the video. I had the old video stuff from 2005, the old camcorder, and the pictures to show it. But 2006, there was a May Day celebration, which was the size of the crowd was very comparable to what happened in 2005. A lot of people, and I would dare say more activism in regards to immigration matters, in regards to minority issues back then than what we have now. I remember Maria Centello, who was, she was an amazing individual who ran the Hispanic Center and was not afraid to speak her mind. You know, kind of like a Latino version of Lynn Tabersack, I might have to say, in a way. And it did not
That says it all. Excellent.
Hey, if you know Lynn, and then, you know, that's about it. You had a lot of people, thousands upon thousands of people out there fighting for, I shouldn't say fighting, but standing in solidarity for people who were too afraid to come out of the shadows at that time. And here we are 11 years later, and a lot of the issues that we talked about back then, we're still talking about right now. And I would say it's somewhat disappointing that we're after all these years, we're still talking about the same stuff, same issues, same concerns, and it doesn't feel like a whole lot of progress has been made, which is unfortunate because in all these years that we had awareness towards the plight of undocumented immigrants in this area, you would think there'd be more progress made here in Danbury.
Of all places.
Of all places, the epicenter.
The melting pot of Connecticut.
Well, it's the epicenter, I like to call it, this in New Haven, or like battlegrounds. We're battlegrounds for immigration, you know. If you were in New Haven, heaven forbid if you had a camera in your hand and the cops were around arresting somebody or something like that, you would get in a little bit of trouble. Here in Danbury, heaven forbid if you're a day laborer just trying to get work and put food on your table for your family, you might get picked up in a van by, you know, Danbury's finest, who would say they didn't do anything in terms of, like, you know, arresting you in the first place.
Yeah.
But with all that going on, you had a lot of activism for the last 10 years. What is there to show for it here 10 years later?
Well, at least we haven't lost ground. Have we lost ground?
I think we lost a lot of ground. I think there was opportunities. I think it's opportunities that were missed. You don't have one Democratic Latino on the city council. You know,
You would think.
you would think you might have one by now.
Yeah.
You have a Republican. Kind of strange if you think about that.
Morris, and she's been on the show.
She ran for state rep.
Yep.
You have Elmer Palmer,
Yep.
who runs Elmer's Diner. He's on the council, and he was also on zoning. You have a lot of people who put a lot of time and energy to fight for the rights of immigrants in this area for all those years. And as you know, activism, like I said at another forum over the weekend, activism takes a lot of work. If you're like an average Joe person, like, I don't mean to discount the people who are against Trump or anything, but the day Trump won, people are like, they're out in the streets fighting. And in Danbury, they're out in the streets doing their thing and working hard and say, hey, we're going to make a change. 100 days later, not as many people out there as it was before, doing what needs to be done. And in terms of immigration, people fought for years, tirelessly, week after week, every 2 weeks, every month, coming together for meetings, doing the hard work. And again, it's hard work because it's not like you're getting paid to do this stuff here.
No.
And then from the May Day, events in 2006. You had the Danbury 11 kids, which was just another march that happened the same year, 2006. And then 3 years later, you had the ICE access vote, in which thousands of people, once again, out there in front of City Hall saying, no, we don't want ICE access. You had the Hispanic Center put out a full-page ad in the News Times saying, hey, we don't like this. We had ARC doing the same thing, hey, we don't like this. And in response to that, the city of Danbury tried to take the funding away from the Hispanic Center, which is just crazy. Same thing with threatened ARC. And the years after that, especially after after we signed on to the agreement with ICE, what has transpired here that has made a big difference? Do you see any people who are Democrats on the city council? Zoning, Board of Ed. Board of Ed, another great place. If you want to make a difference in terms of immigrational matters in the city that are concerns, one of them probably would be education.
Yep.
You think you have some people on the Board of Ed. You don't have anything like that.
Sounds like you're promoting people to get out there now in advance, way in advance of the election.
It is imperative.
And get active.
It is imperative.
And run. And if not run, at least support somebody who is running.
It's imperative. And again, this should have happened over a decade ago. We're Danbury. It shouldn't take that much.
But here we
to
are.
happen.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Gone.
Decades gone. Here we are right now.
Let's look forward.
What should we do going forward? I love marches. I love demonstrations. It shows that people are out there saying, hey, we don't like something. It's after you put the picket signs down. It's after you disassemble. What do? If you don't know what to do.
Hopefully you keep on doing what you've been doing, except you do it maybe from your telephone or from your keyboard or running for office or getting out and walking the streets, campaigning for someone else that you like running for office and endorse them and talk to people. And that's what that both Rahib Ali Brennan and Emmanuel Palmares on talking about exactly that, getting out and the absolute joys that people had as the candidate or as a supporter of a candidate, getting out there and meeting people, and not necessarily people that you even agree with.
Absolutely.
But just striking up a conversation.
Yep. That's one of the greatest things you can do is to not necessarily go into full-time campaign mode, but just let people know that, hey, I'm around. I'm here for you if you need help with a campaign, whether it's door knocking, using my tongue to put mailers, using my fingers for the telephones, or if I'm a candidate, or if I'm an incumbent who is concerned about issues in my city, regardless whether it's I'm concerned about this immigrational matter. I'm not on board with all the stuff that the city's doing. I'm a Democrat and I'm a Republican. I'm not on board with all this stuff because let's be honest here. Not all Republicans were for the enforcement of immigration that came down from the Biden administration. And not all Democrats were against the stuff that Biden was selling.
Although they generally got credit for being against or being for, just by dint of the label that they had on them, the R or the D.
Exactly, and that's unfortunate because, like I said in this forum this past weekend, all but of 2 Democrats on the city council voted for ICE access. All right?
That's
all but 2.
That is fact, but
it's
a bitter fact to look back on and wonder what's going to happen with these people going forward. How are they going to react? Or have they changed their beliefs? Have they changed? Are they willing to stand up for what what the Democratic Party says is one of their main issues?
Well, you have this national Democratic Party, we're for this, then you have local Democratic Party. And local's a lot different than what you have on a national scale.
They used to have the Dixiecrats before the Republicans gobbled them up.
Yeah. Well, again, back to Danbury, again, you have Democrats who voted for ICE access. You have Democrats who were silent when Republicans were threatening to defund the Hispanic Center. And the only person who spoke up in defense of the Hispanic Center on the dais of the city council was a Republican, Jane Diggs. Going back to the earliest days of the immigration stuff that happened around here, the volleyball ordinance.
Yep.
You know, how many Democrats voted for that? You'd be surprised. So
That's refresh us briefly on that.
well, to make a long story short, a lot of people didn't like the volleyball games that were happening here in Danbury because the volleyball games were somewhat getting out of hand. They had like big festivals happening in people's backyards.
And a lot of times, in people's yards, in their own yards, playing volleyball, and apparently not because they happened to be immigrant looking, but because they were allegedly making too much noise.
You know, they were saying it was the noise, the partying, the amount of cars in front of people's homes, and what was happening was that
It was the brown skin.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but there's a little bit of like legitimate argument towards it also, because you're talking about a lot of immigrants lived in downtown Danbury, and you're clogging the roads in downtown Danbury.
Yeah.
And back during those times also, there was a lot of people living in homes, like a lot of cars. You go up around Osborne, in that area where it's like a lot of multifamily homes. It was packed to the
I
back to the
remember those
nines.
days as a realtor when the multifamily houses went sky high, because a person would buy a multifamily house and they would rent it out. It was almost as if 3 people were occupying each bedroom.
Exactly.
One works the first shift, one works the second shift, one works the third shift.
Yep.
And they're working for fairly low wages.
Yeah.
So they're able to rent because they're room sharing.
Right, and then you had, I can never forget, you seen extension cords going outside from window to window, and then you had the fires and stuff. So there were some legitimate complaints about that, but there's a lot of racism in it also, and it was pretty apparent.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of Democrats signed on for that stuff. Look, Mayor Boughton wouldn't be reelected multiple times if it wasn't for Democrats or Democratic-leaning independents in this area voting for him.
He's a popular guy, and
he's a popular guy.
It's not for nothing.
But we talk about these big, giant, broad issues, during these times like this.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about the small things that can be done, in which change can happen, such as if you're upset about anything in regards to education here in this area, go to the Board of Ed meeting. Try to get on the Board of Ed. Make a difference there.
So if you've got, let's just say hypothetically, let's say the average person that believes in the things that are right about Danbury and wants to make Danbury a better place. Let's say they watch each week, they watch 5 hours of Dancing with the Stars and all these other tripe shows that are on. 5 hours, let's say, not even 10, but maybe 5. If they would take those 5 hours and put those 5 hours a week to constructive use, doing something that was certainly more beneficial to all of our lives than watching Dancing with the Stars or one of the other shows.
Yeah, well,
I don't mean to pick on Dancing with the Stars.
Let's not pick on that. It's a very good show.
I'm still picking on them.
Well,
They're just representative of all these other lousy shows.
Well, look, for instance, myself. My wife passed away several years ago.
Yeah.
And as you know, I was very active in Danbury in terms of writing and reporting and staying on top of issues in Danbury. But after my wife passed away, she passed away suddenly, and I had a newborn child, less than a year old, and a 5-year-old to raise. So I couldn't be as active, and still to this day I can't be as active as I desperately would want to be.
And yet you were out there, though.
I was out there with my baby carriage and doing what I have to do, but it's not to knock the mom and the young family who has a young child who just can't make it to all these things. Like there was a forum at the Democratic Town Committee on Saturday.
For 5 hours a week.
Well,
if Al Robinson can do it.
If you can devote time, and it doesn't mean going down to a meeting, because you don't have to show up to City Hall for a meeting, because you can watch it on TV, or you can watch it online. There's other ways to do stuff. Or just stay active. Attend the Board of Ed meeting, and just, you don't have to go to the Board of Ed. Go to a PTO meeting.
Yeah.
Just make your presence known, and just say, hey, I'm concerned about my neighborhood. I'm concerned about my community. I'm concerned about these issues that are happening at my school.
Yeah.
I need to be a part of I want to know what's going on here. Where can I voice my concerns? Same thing with a number of city issues. You can go to zoning if you have a problem with zoning issues. You can go to planning if you don't like a certain project coming into your neighborhood. Or if you have problems with the city in general, you can go to the city council meeting. There are avenues to speak out and make small incremental differences that will make Danbury a better place to live for you and your family,
And
especially
5
if
hours
you're an
a week.
immigrant.
And 5 hours a week. If somebody can do
I would say 5 hours a
something
month.
good.
I'd say 5 hours a month.
Okay, let's say at least something like that. And I hope I don't embarrass you, but I'm going to hold
Yeah.
you up as an example of a guy
please.
that gets out there, in spite of the things that's gone on in his life, the turmoil he's had, and gotten out there and been active. If he can do it, you can do it.
Well, yeah, you can do it, but the most important thing is that we have to get beyond the demonstrations. We have to get beyond the expressions of like
The anger.
outrage,
Yeah, the
because
anger.
it's easy to be outraged. It's easy to complain, and it's harder to try to make a difference and do something about that. And my concern is here, again, my first May Day was in 2006. I can tell you I was at Kennedy Park, thousands of people around me, thousands of people around me. And now it's like 11 years later after that, and we're still talking about the same stuff I heard back in 2006. You know,
We've held our ground somewhat, but but you're right, we should be further along in our
much
efforts.
further along. It doesn't take that much of a difference to make a difference in our area. I mean, you know, at least to have a couple of more people. At least let me. What I would love to have seen was maybe a person of Ecuadorian descent on either a board of ed,
Yep.
city council, zoning, planning, any of the authorities around us, whether it's Charles Ives Authority, the War Memorial Authority, or any. I don't care what. I want to see my land use boards and our city boards be more reflective of our community.
Yeah.
If you have that, that'd be a great first step in making a change that we desperately want to have here in this area in regards to respecting rights of minorities.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest problems. Most of the nonsense comes from the lack of respect of other ethnic groups. You know, how many times do we have to keep hearing, speak English, or things of that nature, or respect our culture?
Yeah.
What is an American culture anyway?
It's a mixture of literally 100+ different cultures.
Right. So it's like I had this one individual who said, you know, I love Main Street, but I can't go into these restaurants because, you know, they don't speak English there. And I'm like, you know, or they're giving me dirty looks here in these restaurants. I'm like, well, you know, you're walking into restaurants, you're dealing with people who've been like kicked upon for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And they don't know you from Adam. They might give you a strange eye the first time.
Yeah.
But I've gone to many restaurants in Danbury. I've never had a problem. Maybe because I'm an African American, but I've never had a problem ordering food. Love the food. I'm being Danbury till I'm 6 feet under, because I love this city and I love raising my kids in this area.
It's a beautiful city.
It's a beautiful city, but I do believe that we have to get beyond just demonstrating. We have to do something beyond that. We have to try. And look, you might like the Democratic Town Committee, you might like the Republican Town Committee, and I'm not saying go bang the doors of the Democratic Town Committee. And here's a new thing I'll throw out there: if you want to make a difference, why keep dealing with the Democrats? Why don't you try to make a difference by going into the Republican caucus and say, hey, look, you know, I'm a Republican, but I don't agree with you. Again, I know several Republicans who made us, like Jane Diggs again. She stood up and said, what's happening with the Hispanic Center is wrong.
Credit where credit is due. Absolutely.
You know, and there's a lot of other moderate Republicans out there in this area who say, hey, look, I'm not signing. Do you think every Republican out there is a Trump supporter? You know?
Don't forget, one important thing not to forget, and it just happened a couple days ago, there is now a Working Families Party member of the state legislature who won a special election.
Was that the one up in Hartford? Mr. Hall? Joshua Hall?
Joshua Hall, yeah. Who won a special election against two Democrats.
Democrats.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole nother dynamic, because you're dealing with areas like Hartford and New Haven that's so overwhelmingly Democrat, and you get
that's where the WFP and even the Green Party could step in, and they're going to caucus with the Democrats. They're going to be but they're Democrats. They're the old style Democrats. They're not corporate.
Yeah, well,
So they're better, in my opinion, better than the average Democrat.
Well, they focus on different issues, but
Bread and butter issues.
bread and butter issues. But you know, and there's a lot.
Like the Dems used to.
I would never throw the Working Family Party under the bus, never at all. But again, I don't care about what party affiliation you are. That's the point. That's the point. Because like I said again, like Jane Dix, who's a Republican, spoke up against the Hispanic Center when no Democrat said anything. Again. And you can go to the DTC if you want to, have fun with that nonsense, but you can actually go to the Republican Town Committee also and say, hey, look, I'm a Republican or I'm an unaffiliated person, and I want to make a difference, but I know to really make a difference, I got to infiltrate the Republican Party and try to make a difference from within there. Because again, not every single Republican is some anti-immigrant lunatic.
And it hasn't been that long.
And not every Democrat is some tree-hugging and loving liberal.
And it hasn't been that long since the Republican Party was the more socially progressive party.
Well, in terms
of the 1960s, up until Lyndon Johnson signed that legislation, the Republican Party, Democrats had the Dixiecrats, racist Southern Democrats.
Well, and
Republicans were the more socially progressive party up until that point.
Absolutely. In terms of Danbury, also,
So they could come back.
In terms of Danbury, a lot of your Republicans used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago. But again, look, I enjoy the May Day. I enjoy Black Lives Matter. I enjoy movements like that. But again, it goes beyond that. If you really want to make a difference, get in there, go to your Board of Ed meetings, go to your zoning meetings, and try to make a difference that way.
And we're going to come back, not today, because we're only doing one show today, but this show will be on actually Wednesday. If you're watching it now, it's Wednesday 9:30 or Thursday noon 30. But Al's going to come back, and we're going to spend a little more focus on the Black Lives Matter moment, which is near and dear to both of us.
Very near and dear. Very near and dear.
And Progressive Soup, David Stevenson, Al Robinson. We're going to continue the discussion as the camera fades.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Fill my bowl up. Fill my bowl up.
Oh, yeah.